Today, we're taking a closer look at Jennette McCurdy's memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died. We've got these specific excerpts here, and they really open a window onto her early life, especially that relationship with her mother and, getting into the entertainment world.
Exactly. And what we're doing today, our sort of mission, is to stick right to these passages you've shared.
Hmm.
What do these specific words, the anecdotes she chooses, what does the text itself tell us about this time in her life? We're looking for the insights, the details, maybe the surprising feelings that jump out from the page.
Right. It's about understanding the story as she actually recounts it in these sections. And wow, right from the get-go, the text gives you such a vivid, almost like a visceral sense of the family dynamic and just the general feeling in their house.
It really does. You immediately get a feel for the place. There are these specific little details, almost quirky, like Grandpa always taking pictures and him eating Tillamook ice cream even though he wasn't supposed to. She has that great line, "There's no stopping a grandpa who loves something."
It's small, but it grounds you, doesn't it?
Totally. And then there's the parents' dynamic. Dad often sort of half asleep and Mom constantly on him about his thyroid. She calls it their usual dynamic, and frames it as the alternative to an all-out scream fight.
Oof. That phrase alone tells you so much about the baseline level of tension, right?
Absolutely. And underpinning all of this, the money situation is just laid bare in these pages. Living in a place she calls Garbage Grove and the constant fighting about rent, even though Dad's family owned the house, Mom's attitude, according to the text, was, we shouldn't have to pay anything at all. That's what family's for.
Yeah, that entitlement kind of mixed with what sounds like real struggle. The text says they were always late on rent, payments short, Mom crying about it. And then you see this list of minimum wage jobs everyone had. Grandpa as a Disneyland ticket taker.
Grandma at a retirement home, Dad doing kitchen design or making cardboard cutouts, Mom grabbing shifts at Target. It's a real patchwork.
But even with all that scrambling, the text specifically points out that Mom's main job is ensuring I make it in Hollywood.
Which tells you exactly where the family's focus and probably their limited energy and money was really going, doesn't it? It frames Jennette's potential career as, essential for the whole family's survival almost, not just a dream.
Yeah, a financial imperative, which makes those descriptions of their actual living situation even more, stark. Like the broken manual garage door needing two people. She describes it like Indiana Jones in the boulder, just to get it open.
Or the bedrooms being so full of clutter they were unusable, so they had to sleep on Costco mats in the living room. And the text doesn't just state it, it tells you how it felt. Tense and anxious, embarrassment, shameful.
That detail about looking forward to church as a 3-hour escape, it really highlights how tough home must have felt.
That feeling of needing to escape, even for a bit, it comes through so clearly in the text here. And it really sets the scene for Mom pushing her towards acting. It wasn't just, a casual idea. The book presents it with a very specific angle. Blonde, blue-eyed, you're what they love in that town.
Right, identifying her as a marketable product, basically.
And immediately, Mom frames it as something she's sacrificing. I'd have to learn how to drive freeways, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make for you, Net. So right away, there's this sense of debt, pressure. Jennette's success has to justify Mom's sacrifice.
And the text makes it clear there wasn't really a choice. That line about there's only one right answer when Mom asks, you want to be Mommy's little actress. It wasn't really a question, was it?
No, more like a directive in disguise. And the description of that first audition, it really puts you there. Feeling not ready, being sick to my stomach from nerves, doing this specific Jell-O Jiggler's monologue in this, boring, white-walled room. You feel her anxiety.
She lands background work on the X-Files, and the text notes she was genuinely happy, but then adds this little aside, only because she doesn't know that there was a higher tier.
That says so much about her initial innocence, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
But Mom's reaction to just background work is pure projection in the text. Driving home, Mom recounts the scene, focusing on the suffocation part, and crucially emphasizing it was in a close-up.
Ah, the close-up. Important detail for Mom.
Right. She immediately jumps to predicting principal roles, talking about Academy kids. The text describes her excitement. She shakes her head in disbelief, taps the steering wheel, seems so carefree.
And it all leads to that pronouncement for Mom. You're going to be a star, Nettie. Presented as fact, not hope. This is the path.
Yeah, cementing Mom's vision as Jennette's future. And this intense pressure, this sort of blurring of where Mom ends and Jennette begins, it really leads into some of the toughest themes in these excerpts. Control, guilt, and disordered eating. Absolutely. The text describes her birthday wish as the most power I have in my life right now. It's my best chance at control. That, plus being annoyed by the friends adding cha-cha-chas, it just highlights how little control she felt she had elsewhere.
Looking for it in these tiny moments. And the guilt piece is so starkly drawn in the text. That recurring, uncomfortable ritual of rewatching the cancer video. Mom's commentary, always praising Marcus for being upset, but calling toddler Jennette a stinker for singing Jingle Bells.
Ouch. Yeah.
And the text explicitly says this fed her tremendous guilt. She internalized this idea that age is no excuse, that mom needed them to seem devastated, totally lost without her. It created this atmosphere where mom's fragility just dictated everyone's emotions. The air felt like a held breath.
And that ties into the descriptions of calorie restriction, which the text presents as a shared mission with mom. That's striking.
It really is. She writes, every day feels like the montage of the twins in The Parent Trap. Because mom is right there, doing it with her, encouraging it. And the line, it brought me and mom closer. I mean, that's a deeply unsettling way to bond, right? Shared restriction.
Yeah. The text even lists specific stress-free foods, sugar-free popsicles, applesauce, and unsweetened iced tea, and that ritual of touching slim clothing tags. These little details show how concrete it all was.
Then there's the doctor's visit scene. It's rendered with such detail. Her fear of a different scale, hearing the nurse announce 61 pounds, and then mom's even expression, which she reads as disappointment.
And hearing anorexia for the first time, she notes it sounds like a dinosaur. Just shows how young she was, how little she understood.
And the text points out her confusion because, well, mom already keeps an eye. She's as involved. It shows how entangled mom was in enabling it. And later, mom just brushes off the word, oh, don't worry about it, Angel. People are just being dramatic. That denial, right there in the text, it just underscores everything.
And another incredibly difficult thing the text describes are the showers and the front butt exams. She writes about feeling uncomfortable, sexual, and mentions her brother Scotty being embarrassed too.
And mom's justifications are laid out right there. She wouldn't know how to shampoo, fears of toxic fumes, the whole cancer check rationale.
But that reasoning, presented as care, clashes so hard with Jennette's clear discomfort described in the text. That detail about thinking of Disneyland to cope during it is such a powerful image of a kid just trying to mentally check out from something awful.
Yeah. And as she's trying to navigate the industry itself, the text shows mom is just this constant, hovering, interfering presence on set.
Right, it says, mom mouths my lines, overanimates her facial expression, making it difficult to perform while navigating mom's sideline coaching. Even small things like the interaction about the coffee shop mom saying, I don't believe in spending $2.50 on a cup of joe, show how mom's views colored everything.
That anecdote about missing acting class because dad took her instead. Mom's reaction is described as pure hysteria in the text. Opening and closing appliance doors, this wildness to her gestures, kicking a cupboard.
And Jennette, trying to calm her down. Love you, Mommy. Then Mom turning on Dad, using his full name, Mark Eugene McCurdy, like an accusation.
The crying on cue stuff sounds just grueling from the text. Practicing these tragic scenarios, brothers dying in the fire, that stapler story, and Miss Lasky's technique of snapping fingers. Then Mom's phrase, all cried out, meaning they had to invent new tragedies.
Dustin dying, Marcus, Scotty, Grandpa.
She calls it one of the more miserable experiences of my life in the text. Just the emotional toll of having to manufacture grief like that.
Then there's that weird too pretty story. The agent Meredith says the role needs an ethereal beauty, and Jennette reads more homely, Mom wails. But then the text says Mom took joy in Jennette being rejected for being too pretty.
It's such a strange reaction, isn't it? It suggests Mom's priorities weren't just about Jennette booking any job, but maybe about validating a certain image of her.
And the moment she actually tries to quit, it's so raw in the text. Jennette says, I don't want to act anymore. Mom's reaction, instant meltdown, face contorts, sobbing, you can't quit. This was our chance. Banging the steering wheel.
And the power dynamic is crystal clear because Jennette immediately says, never mind. And the text says Mom stops crying instantly, just like that. Her emotional display completely shut down Jennette's attempt to voice her own feelings.
Wow. Even Grandpa, noticing something's off, gets shut down. The text mentions him saying, I think Jennette's got OCD, seeing her rituals. Mom's response, Jennette's perfect, all right. She does not need help. A total refusal to acknowledge anything imperfect.
And Jennette's own conflict is there, too, about the rituals, the Holy Ghost explanation she'd been given, and realizing that Mom needed to believe she was perfect, that it was important for her to believe. So Jennette felt she had to uphold that image for Mom's sake.
Then booking iCarly. The text describes this with huge emotional weight, especially for Mom. Interrupted by a bill collector call, she thrusts her hand back for Jennette to grab like a seatbelt. Then the explosion of excitement. She booked iCarly, a questionable fist pump, parking in a handicapped spot.
It's presented right there in the text as Mom's ultimate dream finally happening. Everything's going to be better. Mom will finally be happy. Again, putting the weight of Mom's happiness, the family's future, all on Jennette's shoulders because of this job.
On the actual iCarly set, the text notes Mom was still so critical when they ran lines. Miranda Cosgrove's generous gift basket is mentioned in nice contrast, but then Mom immediately critiques Miranda's character as having no personality. That critical lens was always on.
Yeah, and the text talks about Jennette giving Miranda this awkward gift, worrying she'd ruin the friendship. It just highlights how hard it was to form normal connections outside Mama's bubble. Miranda's kind reaction is noted as a relief, though.
The wardrobe stuff comes up too, the bikini specifically. Feeling sexual, ashamed, wanting to look like a child, even though she wasn't one anymore.
And the kissing scenes are described as uncomfortable, her mind racing, full of anxiety. She wonders, the text says, if maybe love is the secret ingredient, that would make it feel okay.
That meeting with the creator about the spinoff, that's a really key passage. Mom's prepping her, I'm thinking of giving you a spinoff, coaching her, act really interested, and then just answering for her. She loves it. The fans adore her.
Right. The creator makes the offer explicit in the text. I want to give Jennette her own show. Just puck it. But even though Jennette writes she felt concerned and scared of him, Mom nods for her to smile with teeth.
And then Mom's questions afterward. Why don't you seem happier? And everyone wants what you have. Reinforcing that Jennette's actual feelings didn't matter as much as showing the right happy face.
The tour experience is described too, the overwhelm of big crowds, press, autographs, feeling like the interview questions were repetitive, like people were sheep.
But interestingly, the text also includes this counternote. A part of her was enjoying myself. It felt fresh and new and exhilarating. She felt free. And that detail, being able to shower myself. Wow.
That tiny detail speaks volumes about the level of control she was usually under, doesn't it?
For sure. And being away from Mom's direct eye on tour, the text describes a big shift in her eating. She hears Mom's voice in her head, but feels rebellious. There's this attraction that can only be described as lust for food.
But the freedom instantly turns sour. Fullness is immediately usurped by a deep sense of guilt, leading straight into binging boxes of Cheez-Its and store-bought cookies. Her body is begging for me to stuff myself. She weighs herself, feels horrified, but is unable to stop. The text makes it clear the eating disorder wasn't just about Mom's presence, it was a deeply rooted coping mechanism.
As Mom gets sicker, the text gives these specific moments. Getting a wheelchair, Mom pretended it would be fun. Then Mom moves into Jennette's solo apartment and immediately declares, "This is our apartment. We are roommates." Still blurring those lines even then.
Her description of her first kiss at 18 is really detached in the text. It felt funny, but I figure I'll worry about that later. She liked parts of the guy, but didn't care in a deep way. It reads like she's just going through the motions, not really present.
And Mom's reaction when she gains weight after the tour, immediate judgment in the text. You're getting chunky, we got to get you on a diet. But what's really interesting is Jennette's reaction, described here, remorse, yes, but also a lift in spirit, because this is the Mom I know, the strong-willed and forceful and sometimes vicious one.
It suggests this strange kind of comfort in that familiar, critical dynamic, doesn't it? Even though it's painful.
Definitely. Then there's the $300K offer from Nickelodeon, which the text explicitly calls hush money, related to the creator. That's a major point. Her immediate refusal, hell no, and her thinking it's not free money but hush money, that the whole business is one big cash grab. It shows she's starting to see the system more clearly.
Yeah, a growing awareness. After the show ends, the text points out how the press narrative blamed her, upset that my co-star was getting paid more. But she corrects it in the text, stating the real reason was a sexual harassment claim against one of our producers. And the result? Feeling cemented in people's minds as the person I was when I was a kid.
That feeling of being stuck as Sam Puckett, it's a recurring theme.
Yeah.
The world only wants me to be Sam Puckett.
And the comparison she draws with Ariana Grande in the text is really pointed. Miranda missing work for music, while Jennette had to turn down things for the show, always being told thanks for being such a good sport. The text conveys her feeling bitter and resentful about being the good sport, contrasting her own character branding, that Rebecca Bonbon face, with Ariana making 30 under 30 lists.
Ouch. And then Mom's request to sing Wind Beneath My Wings at her funeral. deeply poignant in the text. Jennette feels it's out of my range. Mom insists you'll get there.
Yeah.
And Jennette just wishes they could go back to pretending Mom wasn't dying.
Yeah. The description of Mom's actual death includes the phone call, seeing her in a coma, the drive. But amidst all that gravity, the text includes this raw, maybe uncomfortable feeling. Wanting to leave, can't get out of this hospital fast enough. It shows that complex mix of grief and maybe relief.
And the chaos right before that hospital visit is also in the text, dealing with contractors. A broken suitcase zipper, Dad's urgent call, "You should get down here," coming through the noise. It's this surreal mix of mundane stress and ultimate crisis. Nickelodeon letting her miss an event is almost an afterthought in the description.
The relapse into disordered eating and drinking after Mom dies is described with brutal honesty in the text, leaving Whole Foods angry, ordering Postmates and tequila, living on whiskey, Coke Zeros, baked Lays.
Then that sudden ravenous hunger at the sushi place, needing to devour every bite, ordering more, and the internal realization she shares in the text, "This isn't grief, this is my secret food obsession." That eating disorder brain talking, admitting she's not being present. It shows it wasn't about processing grief. It was falling back into that destructive pattern.
That funeral song comes back too, described in the text as internal torment. Practicing it, worrying about Mom looking down, disappointed, from her throne in the celestial kingdom, based on her Mormon upbringing.
Then the relationship with Joe. His touch feels nice at first. She wants it. But his reaction when she doesn't want sex, "My needs aren't being met," offering to just make out, his comment on her age. The text says she felt stupid and embarrassed.
And that later incident in Hawaii where he spots paparazzi, takes her phone, and her bathing suit ends up flung over the door. It's a weird, unsettling detail in the text.
She even compares Joe's touch to her first kiss, thinking his must be another level just because it's new. It shows, the text suggests, a real lack of experience or understanding of healthy intimacy.
Their relationship with Steven moving in together, this is huge. The text notes she quits therapy, and his response is telling. That's fine, you don't need therapy. Not if you have Jesus.
Their church hopping phase is described kind of playfully. Goldilocks and the three bears of churches. But the text notes his genuine belief versus her feeling that she doesn't believe.
And that encounter after sex with Steven is depicted so starkly in the text. Her expectation, his reaction, "That didn't feel right, Jenny. We can't do that again." The finality she sees, that graphic physical detail, and her thought, "What have I done?"
The text also brings in her father's view of his marriage to Mom, him thinking she was probably cheating, Mom seeing him as lazy and incompetent with the emotional range of a potato, even questioning if he was secretly gay. It adds another layer from his perspective.
But the text balances this with her own positive memories of Dad, his smell, tying her shoes, the Christmas party where she felt loved by him, learning blackjack, only to have the text immediately reveal Mom's real motive for that party invite, collect intel on potential affairs.
And then the huge reveal. Dad and Karen telling her about her biological father. The text captures that physical shock, dizziness, cottonmouth, numbness. The detail of Dad rubbing his hands, something Mom hated. Karen joining the hug, and that unfinished thought, hugs were meant as a...
The text conveys the deep pain of realizing Mom kept this secret, how the person who was the center of my existence hid such a fundamental piece of my identity, noting Mom had chances, but chose not to tell her.
Steven's mental health struggles are mentioned too, crying, lithium lethargy, celibacy vow. Later, the text says they live together again, he's in therapy, medicated, trying to frame the episode as truly a thing of the past.
Starting therapy with Laura feels like a potential turning point in the text. The description of the boho chic office, Laura's holistic approach, the life wheel, planning activities like grocery shopping, cooking, it grounds the therapy in concrete steps.
And the text is honest about the initial assessment. Binging and purging 5 to 10 times a day, drinking 8 or 9 shots, feeling like a failure. No sugarcoating.
By week 4, the text shows progress, identifying red carpet events as a trigger, and Laura agreeing to go as her +1.
That award show scene with Laura is incredibly powerful and raw in the text. The blinding lights, reading lines, feeling out of control, big gestures, gasping for air, and then seeing the buffet. The internal reaction is visceral. F-U-C-K, cheeseburger, fucking sliders. The immediate desire to binge purge, needing the fix.
And you see the internal battle right there in the text. Do I interrupt Laura or do I rush over? It puts you right in that compulsive moment.
The breakdown in the car is intense, wailing about sliders. No, not the sliders. Laura's calm response, "You're doing great," versus Jennette's humiliation. And Laura's explanation, shared in the text, that not purging is bringing up suppressed emotions. The driver's blank face just adds to the awkward reality.
And that Gloria Estefan song moment, Mom used to love Gloria Estefan collapsing into Laura's lap. It explicitly connects the current struggle right back to Mom in the text.
So when Laura asks, "Tell me about your mom," the defensiveness described in the text makes sense. Why does she want me to talk about Mom? What's wrong with Mom? Her insistence, Mom was perfect, is framed as trying to sell the lie, using her acting skills. I didn't star on shitty sitcoms and not learn how to sell a line.
And the core fear revealed in the text is that if Mom wasn't perfect, her whole life, her identity, is built on a false foundation. The terror of having to tear it all down and rebuild, not knowing how to live without Mom's wants and needs dictating everything, it's palpable.
Which explains deleting Laura's number after feeling sick post-bath, feeling the same way it feels after every purge. The text shows how strong that pullback to the disorder still is, even mid-therapy.
Selling the house brings more conflict, detailed in the text. Grandparents worried about appearances, Grandma saying Mom's rolling in her grave, calling Jennette a bitch.
And Jennette setting a boundary in the text. If you keep calling me names, I'm going to block you.
Yeah.
Grandma doubling down with Mom's name. Your mother will weep tears up in heaven. Blocking Grandma felt good, right? She could breathe normally again. But the text immediately follows with ordering Postmates tequila. Still that complicated coping mechanism.
Even hiring Liz the decorator, while lighter, shows Jennette defining her own style in the text. Rejecting Liz's glamour chic with animal print accents, pushing zebras, preferring functional. A small assertion of self.
Going to the biological father's concert with Colton, the text notes the correction, trumpet to trombone, same thing. The heavier mood, feeling emotionally unprepared, all the questions swirling, does he know? Have a family? How did things end with Mom?
And the decision, noted in the text, to only approach him if he's alone, showing that consideration for others. Getting ready is filled with anxiety described in the text. Washing clammy hands, worrying about her look, eating chips while the eating disorder brain provides commentary, judgments, and criticisms and self-loathing. She admits she's not being present, just selling casualness.
Going to the bathroom triggers that awful vivid memory in the text, checking under stalls, linked to Disneyland, and a child asking for an autograph while regurgitated bits of clam chowder were trickling down my arm. That detail just connects the public image and the private hell so starkly.
Seeing Dwayne Johnson again after Mom died prompts reflection in the text, wondering if he sees a change, if he gets the symbolism of the cookie she's eating, obstacles and accomplishments. Her mind freezes, I miss my chance.
Miranda calling about the iCarly reboot. The text notes they drifted apart. Miranda's reasons, get back out there, versus Jennette's view, stated in the text that a reboot without significant other work just cements them as the character. Acknowledging Miranda means well, but disagreeing based on her own difficult experience.
And visiting Mom's grave, that confrontation with the inscription brave, kind, loyal, sweet, loving, graceful, her anger surfaces in the text. Was she, though? Can't look at the words. Asking that huge question the text poses. Why do we romanticize the dead, especially moms?
Her final thoughts on Mom in these excerpts are so layered, never telling her about the father reveal, leaving more questions than answers. The text describes these layers of grief, initial loss, accepting the abuse, and now somehow still missing parts of her, missing the pep talks, the childlike spirit. Despite everything, it's complex, unresolved, right there in her words.
Yeah, what this deep dive into the actual text really shows us, I think, is just how incredibly tangled and painful it is to sort out your own identity when your childhood, your self-worth, even your public face were so intensely shaped, really controlled by someone else's needs and, frankly, their own significant struggles. The specific details she includes just lay bare that constant fight between her own feelings and what was expected of her, mostly by her mother and that industry.
Absolutely. And really engaging directly with her words like this lets you see the nuances, the contradictions, those moments of subtle manipulation she describes, the deep coping mechanisms that formed, and just the unbelievably hard path she recounts toward finding her own voice, her own well-being. It takes you way beyond just the provocative title and into the, the messy, difficult reality she lived, as she describes it here.
Which leaves us with a pretty important question to think about based on these passages, doesn't it? What does reading an account this direct, this unvarnished, suggest about the really long shadow that childhood experiences, especially in these intense family situations or under public scrutiny, can cast on how someone sees themselves? And how does this struggle to grapple with that past, as she lays it out right here in the text, shed light on the massive challenge of defining yourself authentically when so much of your early life was basically defined for you?
Definitely something to mull over, drawing directly from the insights revealed right here in the text she shared.